And we're live. Welcome to NEZ SEZ Saturday edition. I'm here with Dennis Delgaudio, my good buddy, one of my best friends in the world.
Yeah, man.
Great musician. And we're here for a couple reasons. We're just checking out. I have a new microphone and an Apogee interface that I'm making sure is working correctly, and it sounds like it's working correctly over here. What do you think, Den?
Yep, it's working perfectly, man. I hear you clear as a bell. No distortion or anything.
Awesome.
You had some issues with it initially, right?
I did. I did a show last night with Johnny Bean, and all I can hear in my cans was like someone put a distortion box on it. It was horrible, and that's what everyone else heard too. Not the people in the chat, and not on YouTube, but like Johnny Bean, Jay, and Pete that was with us yesterday. All they heard was my distorted voice.
Yeah.
So you came over today, and you did your magic and helped me get through it, and it seems to be crystal clear right now, which is great.
That's great. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Because I tuned into your show last night with Johnny and those guys, and I was like, I texted you. I said, "Man, you sound clear to me." So I'm checking it out on YouTube, like you said, and it was fine. For anybody watching, listening,
Yeah. I listened back to some of last night's show too, and it was clear. It was really good. I may have been a little bit low in the mix, but it was crystal clear, which was great. I thought this interface and this whole thing it's all new to me. I really don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'm figuring it out. And thanks for your help on that.
Yeah, sure.
We have a lot of people in the chat. Let's just say hello. Quentin James, Damp Taco Lover. Sean Zimmerman, Dwight Bailey, Papa Blue, Dennis Brialt. Who else?
Fellow Dennis.
Steve Carmichael. And Cameron Brown is here. So, hey guys, we're not going to be on very long. This is going to be pretty quick. I just wanted to maybe talk about Dennis's pedal board, or both of his pedal boards, if he has a moment.
Sure.
He's got some really cool stuff that I thought you guys would all really love to see.
Sure, man.
So
I'm gonna see how I can figure this out. I'll probably I'm on my laptop right now because it's the only one that's got Chrome, and that's the only way I can talk to you is via through Chrome, as you know. So
yeah, sure.
So I'll just pick up the laptop and we can walk it around.
Okay, sounds good. Good.
Apologies if it's a little dizzying, but
Well, it might be. Ty Price is out on assignment tonight, so he's not with us. This was a very last moment thing. I just, like I said, wanted to make sure that that my rig here is going to work correctly for Thursday night. So
yeah.
Dennis decided to help me out and figured maybe we'll talk about his pedal boards and stuff,
Sure.
And maybe his favorite guitar. But and it's going to be quick, no more than a half hour, guys. So just bear with us.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the two boards.
All right. Well, I've got the big board, the small board. The big board is the one I use for local gigs or gigs that are within driving distance. The small board is the fly date board. It can also easily do any gig, any local gig if I want to change or whatever. If the big board's down for some reason, but the large board, since this pandemic happened, I had been meaning to back in the beginning of January. It's in the first 10 days. I had ordered some new stuff. The big board is made by Schmitteray. I'm sure you guys know that company. If you don't, check them out. Martin Smith is the owner, and he's a sweetheart of a guy and builds an incredible product. The boards are top notch. They're solid as a rock. 2 levels, come in different sizes. Mine's an SA 600. And I'd ordered a new top deck for it, one that was a little bit longer, so I could fit some more pedal boards, because the original board had a cutout for a wah pedal, and I was going to pull the wah out of the board. And, put some more pedals with knobs and blinking lights on it and stuff like that. So once the pandemic hit, I hadn't had any time since the middle of January, because I was really busy with gigs. Pardon me, thankfully. So since the gigs dried up, or I'd stopped, really, I was able to sit down and rework the board, and it was, I built it up myself. It's powered exclusively by Gig Rig. It's got a G2 controller, and I just rebuilt it to add a few more pedals, like I had said, and make it sort of the ultimate board that sometimes I still look at it. It's right over there, and sometimes I look at it and think, Jesus. It's like the first time I remember when I got my first car that had power windows. I thought,
Yeah.
oh, this is fancy,
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Yep.
So, it's tons of fun, and we can start there. And what I can do probably is I'll pick it up. I think I can pick it up. Hang on one second. I'm off screen. It's a little bit heavy, but let me sit back down. Okay. There she is. There's the big board in all of its resplendent glory. You see the G2 controller and all the pedals on the top deck. Let me see, can I do this? Why not? I open it up, and there's the lower deck. I don't know if you can see, underneath. And it's a little dark, right? But this pedal board is stacked. Obviously they're bigger, more, extensive ones than this, but this is the biggest, most extensive board I've ever built, in my 38 years of playing the instrument. And the G2, if you guys don't know it, I really think it's the state-of-the-art controller. It is, I'm just trying to situate it. It's really an awesome controller. You can do so many things with it. Between, each button is its own preset. You can add however many effects you want. You guys can go to Gig Rig and check it out. Dave, I've shown it to you.
Yeah.
Right? And then I can operate it like I do. It's got 8 banks of 15 presets. And I operate bank 1, and I have it set up like I would really for a normal pedal board, sort of in stomp box mode, so I can add and subtract pedals as I need. That's essentially it. What anything specific you want to ask me about?
Well, I want you to be able to maybe go through all the pedals and tell everyone what they do.
Okay, so you know what? Because that was getting really freaking heavy. Let me pick this board up. There we go. Okay. You got my Chiefs shirt and the board in the shop. So as I have it run, I've got 3 pedals before G2. Okay. Those 3 pedals I plug straight into. I'm actually working with Martin. I'm talking to Martin. I need to get him a measurement. I keep forgetting that. He's got a connector box on the side of the pedal board, which, if you give me a moment and don't mind the dizzying moving, there's the connector box right there. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's set up in stereo. I can do stereo or mono. So out 1, out 2. There's my input. But I found I had a ground issue with the input on this board, so I just bypassed it for the moment. The output is fine. I just plug straight into the first pedal, which is my 69 full tone 69 fuzz, which is, for me, it's perfect. It's the perfect fuzz pedal for a guy who is not necessarily a big fuzz pedal guy. That has made me a fan of fuzz. From there, I go to my tuner. You would think, why not the tuner first? But everybody, always says, forums, plug into this first. A germanium fuzz needs to see the guitar first. Even though this is true bypass, this tuner's Sonic Research turbo tuner. I just plug in here first, go to the tuner, then to the Benson preamp. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I use the Benson preamp. It is an awesome pedal. It's
it's like a Benson amp, yes?
Benson Chimera in a box.
Yeah.
Okay. They replace the tubes with FETs, transistors, and It is chewy, organic, and you do everything from just a kind of a clean boost to a gritty overdrive to kind of fuzzy tones when you really crank the drive.
So if you were to plug that into a 65 twin,
Yeah.
that would make it sound like a Benson.
Yes, and that's why I got it. I mean, that's really the main reason why I got it. So I could, if I'm on a, let's say if I'm taking this board to a date where I can't bring an amp and all they've got is a twin reverb for me, I can hook this up and I can get that very stiff sounding twin reverb to have a little give and a little chewiness and make it easier to play. Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there I go into G2. Okay. And then I run through all the effects in G2, you know, all the different loops, and the vast majority of these pedals, and I'll get into them specifically if you're interested. Let me just check this. I come out of G2 and I go into the Volante, and out of the Volante, is the stereo split. I mean, I come out of both sides of G2, so I get stereo out of G2, stereo into Volante, stereo out of Volante, into, and I split the signal. And basically into my outputs. I had to do that. People would say, well, why not just put, those who know G2, why not just put the Volante in loops 9 or 10? Because there's stereo loops.
Right.
Problem is, when the Volante has got a feature where you can reverse the phase when you're playing through 2 amps. If you need to reverse the phase, you cancel the delay. All the delay disappears. It gets really quiet. And so I couldn't believe it because this is my favorite delay pedal. So the workaround was to put it after, and then I've got underneath the board. Let me open it up again. You should be able to see right there. I've got a humdinger, a gig rig humdinger, and that ends up becoming my isolated second output with a phase reversal switch, and that's how I got around it. I talked to them. They're really great to talk to. They get back to you quickly. They're good guys. I talked to Joe Bishop a lot. He's a swell fella over there. So that's the basic routing. Now all the pedals, you know, if you go through the loops, like I have it set up where preset 1 is a basic basic clean sound. No effects are on. And even the delay pedal is off because this thing can send MIDI messages, as well as this Morningstar 6. I'll get into that. Basic dry sound, dry clean sound. And then I can add all these stomp switches. Well, 2, 3, 4, 8 through 14 are all set in stomp box mode, so I can add and subtract them like you would in a normal pedal board. And I've got, you know, 2, 3, and 4 are all my main overdrives that are in loops. Sort of 2 is the Clover. This is a killer. I'm a big JHS pedal fan. The Clover is a FET preamplifier, sort of like a copy of the old Boss FA1 that the Edge used, but it's been upgraded with a 3-band EQ, and you can select. You know, it's a very powerful tone sculpting tool, as well as a pedal that will just slam the front end of your amp if you so desire it to. Love that pedal. I've done a lot of recording at home since the pandemic started, and that pedal is featured heavily. If I needed to sculpt a sound where I would normally stand up and go to my amp or amps, I said, no, wait a minute. Let me turn this thing on because it's quite transparent, and I could just get the sound I needed. You know, 3 bands, very powerful stuff. That's that. Loop 3, is the JHS Super Bowl. This is a Supro Valco style amp in a box. Again, replacing tubes with FETs. Killer, gritty, just nasty sounding overdrive, but nasty in the best possible way.
I've seen old Dane Electro amps,
Yeah,
made by Valco, and I think that pedal sounds like those amps. You know, Tom Bukovac has one. He uses one a lot.
Super Bowl?
No, a Valco amp,
that's right,
an original Dane Electro Valco amp
Yeah.
from like the 50s.
Yeah.
And it's going to have that type of sound.
It really does. It's a great sound, and you can dial the little. It gets squishy when you turn the drive control up. It sounds like an overdriving old small tube amp. That's really about to die. You know,
Right.
you know. So that's in, and then this little red box is the red remote that activates it sort of kicks the Super Bolt up another notch in terms of gain and output. Um, I love that. That's probably the first JHS pedal I ever got. Love it. So then we go on to Loop 4 is my PG-14. That's like my high gain pedal. As high gain as I'll get. And that's the purple and pink Mamma Jamma. I saw that maybe it was over the winter. I mean, it just came out, within the past 6 months or so. And
yeah, Paul Gilbert loves that pedal. That's his favorite pedal.
let me tell you, Dave, when you heard it, and I'm not a Paul Gilbert. I don't hate Paul Gilbert. I'm just not that kind of a player. But I heard that pedal, and because it's a transistor based overdrive, it immediately caught my attention. And I heard clips of it online, and I said, "Oh, that's got to be cool." And a music store right near us had just gotten one in, and I thought, "Well, let me try it." And I bought it right then and there. I mean, it blew me away. It still blows me away. It's such a powerful, sculptable, high gain type pedal, but it actually can do low gain stuff as well. It's not a one trick pony by any means. And I tend to like transistor based overdrives. I've gotten away from like op amp style, though I don't rule them out. Generally speaking, the transistor types grab my ear more, certainly of late. So that's in 4. 5, 6, and 7 are not in Stompbox mode. They send MIDI messages and trigger my Volante. 5 is sort of like a dotted eighth quarter note combo.
Where the streets have no name type thing?
No, that's in 7.
Okay.
6 is a straight quarter note delay that sets to the tempo of China Grove.
Right.
Of course, I could tap tempo any tempo, but I mean it's basically a quarter note delay.
Yep.
7 is the streets have no name delay, basically, and that's for extreme, ping-ponging kinds of sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Moving on, 8 is my mini vent. To my ears, the best Leslie Sim pedal I've ever heard.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And I have the Lex. I thought that was the best until I heard the vent tube. By the way,
Yeah.
That absolutely. There's no knobs on it. It just does what it does, and it sounds like you have a Leslie speaker behind you, like a big Fender what is it? A vibratone? Sounds like that. Amazing.
Yeah, or no, like a Leslie 122. Like a big full on Leslie. Yeah, I mean it's you can get in there and edit and customize the sound a little bit for sure. It is a killer pedal, and in stereo, forget it. It's the bomb.
How many volts is that? Is that 12 volts?
It's 12 volts, center positive, I believe. I think it is center positive. 12 volts center positive.
Right.
Just to make it, easy, convenient. So that's loop 8. So I kind of get my modulation effects. 8 through 11 are my modulation effects. Mini vent 2. 9 is the DC2W dimension.
Probably the best chorus pedal on the planet now, right now.
Quote unquote chorus pedal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is cool, man. And again, in stereo, oh my god, it's man, it's like that lush, like think Purple Rain, right, Prince?
Yeah.
That was the rack unit. That was the Dimension D, but that's built into this DC2W. You can get the standard D Dimension C or the Dimension D, the SDD 320 rack unit. Oh man, this thing is great, and it's my only chorus pedal on this board. I don't like.
What else do you need?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really chorus. It's chorus C. It's chorus C phase D. It's its own thing.
Yeah. Hey, anyone in the chat, anyone has any questions for Dennis, please don't be afraid to ask. I'll He probably won't be able to read them, so I'll read them to him. Hey, Johnny Bean. Johnny, thanks for the couple of tips. How's my voice coming through now? Is it better? Anyway, while we're waiting for Dennis, for Johnny to answer, keep going, Dennis.
Okay. So 10 is the Gravitas Tremolo, which is sitting underneath, okay, the Chase Bliss Gravitas Tremolo. I got it because I wanted to be able to, it's MIDI capable. And it can do hard chop trems, soft sine wave, triangle. And you could save a sound, store a sound, and up to, I forgot how many presets. It's a lot. Certainly enough for me. And in one unit, I can get everything I need, and I control it. I change the presets via the Morningstar MC6 MIDI controller. That's in loop 10. Loop 11 is my phaser, my Phase 95, which I only discovered recently. I had an old MXR Phase 90 back from the 90s, and it was fine, but after a while, I grew tired of it. It sounded like it was distorting. It was. It was a harsh, weird distortion to a clean tone, and I grew to not like the pedal. Well, let me tell you, the Phase 95, it sounds great. That it doesn't distort at all. I've got 4 phasers in one little box. It's true bypass, though it doesn't matter necessarily because it's in a loop. But I love it. It's just what I needed. Very versatile little box. So that's the modulations. Loop 12. Go ahead.
I wish they made a mini Phase 45.
Well, the Phase 45 is in the 95.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's got script and block Phase 90, script and block Phase 45.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So do you use the 90 or the 45?
Most of the time, honestly, most 95% of the time I'm block logo Phase 90 because it's the richest, it's the heaviest phaser. And if I'm playing with the Lords and you're doing, like we play scenes from an Italian restaurant and I want that like phasey part for the like the sax.
Yeah, sure.
I want that little slow phase and it's just the most lush. It pops out the most.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one I tend to use. But I have used in my own band, I have used the Phase 45 set to like a warble. I have used it's a cool pedal. For like $100.
Yeah, good price, good pedal.
Yeah, that's that. And then moving on, loop 12 compressor underneath my Origin Effects Cali 76. Arguably the best compressor, certainly one of the best compressor pedals I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big compressor pedal guy. I don't like Ross style compressors or Dynacomps. They're too squishy. I can't get away from it. I like compressors with blend knobs, and this pedal has got it. It's a FET compressor. It's all transistor, modeled after an 1176. So it's got a fast attack. It's very transparent. It doesn't seem to get in the way of your guitar sound. Smooths it out. It can get squishy if you want it to, but it excels at being transparent and just like it's not even there. And sometimes when you shut it off, you go, "Oh, what happened to my sound?" I love it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And again, like for clean sounds, if I'm playing like a country kind of a thing, it's great for that because it lifts it, evens it out.
Great for chicken picking.
Yeah, chicken picking kind of stuff. Lifts it, evens it out. It makes it it gives it a little give under your fingers on a clean sound or semi-clean sound. It really is helpful,
Yep.
And then 13 is my quirky pedal. It is, and I'll lift up the board for that so you guys can see. There's the Cali over there. There's the Gravitas. 13 is the Catalan bred Adeneco. Running at 18 volts. It is a oil can delay replica, and arguably one of the coolest reverb weird delay pedal I've ever heard in my life. It replicates the old oil can delays made by, what was it, Telstar, and Fender had the Dimension 4 pedal unit, I think it was called. I could be wrong. It gives that very quirky, old school 60s spaghetti western could be surf music, could be, you know, like movie soundtrack kind of wacky tune, a sound. It was like, I think they were used for organs
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. But Cattle and Bread just hit it out of the park with that pedal. I'm not a big reverb guy. I don't like, this is going to get, like,
Controversial.
controversial, raise the ire of certain people. I'm not a huge fan of spring reverb. I don't like having spring reverb on amplifiers. To me, spring reverb is an effect. As an always-on thing, it sounds quite unnatural to me. I know, that's just me. I was never a huge fan of it.
You can tell. You can say I have it on my amp. I always have it on my Blue Senior.
Yeah. I mean, I was always more of a fan of delay.
I have it on now.
Yeah.
I'm not plugged in.
Yeah.
Charlie S asks, Dennis, have you ever played the Earthquaker Westwood Overdrive? He says it's a great pedal, most control I've ever had on an overdrive pedal.
Yeah, that's like I was told about that pedal. It's sort of like isn't it supposed to be kind of like a tweedy kind of an overdrive pedal? I think that's what I remember it being told. I think I may have plugged into it, and I think I liked it, but at the time I had a pedal or two that did that, so I didn't go for it. But that's cool. I mean, I liked it. I thought it sounded great.
Cool. So where do we go from there?
From there, that was 13. 14 is the Cattle and Bread 0-point flanger. I was never a big flanger pedal guy. Too like 80s-ish to me. It was just I never really dug them. This pedal harkens back. I'm going to sound like an ad for Cattle and Bread right now, but it harkens back to what flanging originally was, when guys would be running two versions of the same song on two different machines, and literally press their finger or their thumb down on the flange of one of the tape reels. I'm sure we all know what this is, causing the one to slow down and send it out of phase, and you get that comb filtering effect that we've heard on on so many songs from back then. And I can think of like Lenny Kravitz. What tune is that? Where are you going to go my way?
Are you going to go my way? Yeah. Right. Also, the middle of listen to the music, the breakdown guitar of listen to the music.
Yeah, that's doobies. Right. That's right. The whole mix running. Yep, they flange the entire mix. So this pedal is so cool because it's got the on-off switch, and it's got another button that you hold down like you would press down on the flange of a tape reel to activate the flanging effect. When you just turn the unit on, you can hear a subtle, like, wavy motion. When you step on the pedal, the flanging effect engages. You let go of it, and it sort of returns to the same speed. Yeah?
Yeah.
The one thing I will say, and Cattle and Bread says this, the more harmonic content you give it, the more you'll hear the flanging effect. So distortion, this is the last pedal in the line. It's in front of all my overdrive. So the more harmonic content I give it, the more I can hear it. It's
Sure.
So with a clean sound, it's kind of subtle. But that I don't care. I like it. And I happen to have another 18-volt gig rig doubler, so I run it at 18 volts too. It's just, I don't know. It just, because I had it, and because I can take it, so I did it.
Sure.
And that's really it. That's the whole board. It's still, I did my first gig this past Tuesday, and then this is the first time I used the board live. I've only used it at home for recording, and it's really cool. There are a couple of quirks regarding the delay pedal that I need to sort out. Just its MIDI, the way it's working with MIDI, that's not totally jiving. I need to sort that, but it's not that I can't use it. I've got to figure out how to work around this issue I'm having. But this Volante, for me, the best delay pedal I've ever heard. The most tweakable. I love Echo Rec style pedals. It can do that. It can do the what do you call it, Dave? The Roland Space Echo.
Oh yeah, the Roland Space Echo is one of my favorite sounding pedals.
Yeah, and then the studio type is like a reel-to-reel type.
Yeah.
Cleaner. But it's so tweakable. I can actually get a good oil can delay sim going. it made me think for a minute maybe I'd let the Adeneco go, but I couldn't. The Adeneco, it doesn't, the velocity doesn't get quite close enough.
Yeah.
But whatever. Everything else it does is so freaking stellar. It's just the bomb. I love it.
So I could probably answer this question for you, but I'm going to let you do it. Charlie S says, Dennis, what are your thoughts on the new digital plugins like Steve Vai is using? Or thoughts on the Boss Katana amps becoming very popular?
I don't, honestly, I don't know much about those plugins or the Katana amps. I'm sure they sound cool. I'm just kind of an old school.
They're very digital. They're all solid. Well, they're solid state. The plugins are not solid state. They have a tube in them, and they do sound great.
The plugin?
It's a synergy. It's a synergy system. It's a rack unit. It's a totally different system, but there is a preamp tube, and what it is this company has the license to take the preamp and EQ section of, say, a Bassman or a Plexi or Steve Vai's Carvin amp or the BE100 from Friedman, or they have the license to take those preamp sections and make these little modules.
Right.
And they're real amps because there's an AX7 in every one of them, and then you plug into a tube power amp, so you have a real amp, but it's like this little module instead of having this big amp.
And you plug into the Katana?
And you plug in. No. The Katana is a different thing. Those things are solid state
modelers,
modeling type amps. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's cool if you like that sort of thing. Personally, I'm not into it. I have never tried that synergy system, but I think that's very cool. It certainly does save room. It's kind of like the new version of the old rack systems, but they can be small. You don't have to have. You can fit them in your suitcase or whatever. If you're going on a fly date or something like that.
Right.
And they sound like I mean, they are real amps. They don't sound like real amps. They are real amps. They're just tiny. But Dennis, answer the. Well, actually, you did. You said you don't know much about it.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I mean, I'm a tube amp guy. I mean, I'm just old school. I played through. I've done sessions where I played through the Kemper Profiler, and I remember the first time I did it, I was blown away by it. I could not believe what I was hearing, because the producer said, "Hey, Dan, check this out," and he had a Marshall set up in the room, and he actually modeled it into the Kemper. So he recorded it, whatever, into the Kemper, and then he would go back and forth. So at one moment I was playing through the Marshall, and then the next moment I was playing through the Kemper, which is just going direct into and I couldn't hear a difference.
You couldn't tell a difference?
I really couldn't. I looked at Dave, David Kahn, the producer, and I said, "That's effed up." And he said, "Tell me about it. I'm modeling all my amps. I'm selling them, and then I'm selling them." It's like, wow. Yeah. It really did blow me away. But it's not, oddly enough, despite all the knobs and blinking lights on the board, I don't like a lot of knobs and blinking lights on my amps. I like volume, treble, bass, middle.
Sure. Yeah. So real quick, do you want to get to the small board so we can show them, and then we can say goodnight?
Yeah. Give me a second.
Yeah.
We can do something more extensive, Dave, too, if you want, but I can plug in.
Yeah, that's fine. You're more than welcome to.
I mean, not now, but maybe at another time.
Yeah, absolutely. And at another time, I'd love to do that.
Well, I'm about to pass off. I woke up this morning at about 5:15. I fell asleep at about 10 o'clock last night. Unusual for me, maybe 10:30. Woke up at about 5:15. I'm good. It was getting light out. It's fine. By 8 o'clock, I was sitting outside on the lawn with my girlfriend, and we were listening to birds. We were bird watching and sipping on coffee. It was awesome.
Gay.
All right, this board will be easier to deal with. This is my travel board, recently rebuilt. On it is my, where am I? Oh, here we go. honestly, this is my first Volante, uh, but I've rebuilt this one in the past month. This will, believe it or not, I put a cover on it. Fits in my suitcase with, a change of clothes, shoes, and I check it. And bye-bye. I don't have to deal with it. The case itself is built by Tom Peck. He builds pedalboards, pedalboards.com, and he built me the deck, a new deck, and it's a board that I've had for a while. But it's built kind of like a calzone case.
Sure.
And it's solid. It's a solid pedal board. And on here, my signal, but no switcher, no channel, no like strip switching system. It's all pedal to pedal. I didn't want to deal with it. I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible. And in doing so, I plug. Where am I? Here we go. I plug straight into my OCD right here. So I go OCD. And then to the JHS Twin 12, which is like a transistor model of it's an amp in a box. So the Silvertone 1484. It's a Silvertone in a box. Cool sounding pedal. I always wanted to try one, so I did reason. Got it. Out of there, up into the tuner. Come into the tuner. Again, another Strobo Stomp. Out of that into. Guys, I know I said before, I'm not a flanger, a typical LFO 80 flanger guy, but the Thorpe FX Camouflage changed my mind. I love this pedal. It is a modern take on an electric Mistress. It is watery, gooey, chimey. It's got a high-end thing that the Mistress had that. It was, Dan Steinhardt from that pedal show. That's how I heard about the pedal. And lucky enough, Dave and I are lucky enough here to have on Long Island to have a place that deals in Thorpe effects. And that Camouflage, this bad boy right there, just took the cake. It's got a blend knob too. This knob right here, like on parallel compressors, so I can blend in the amount of flange that I want. Mm-hmm. Beautiful pedal. Beautiful. Next, from there, we go to the Deep Ogden, Thorpe Deep Ogden. This was a recent. This guy. This is sort of like, again, a modern upgraded take on a Boss CE1 stereo chorus. My God, this pedal sounds beautiful. Both these pedals are all analog. Nothing digital about them at all. So, Deep Ogden, killer pedal. Watery, anything you've heard of CE1, a Roland jazz chorus, same chorus.
Sure.
As the CE1.
It used to be probably the best. I know I said the Dimension C, but of those old chorus pedals, the CE1 is the most lush sounding, best sounding chorus ever.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love it. I love it. It's a great pedal. So, I should say, you know what? I messed up my order because actually after the tuner, I go into another Phase 95. Okay, come out of the Phase 95 into this JHS Tidewater tremolo. Great, simple, easy to operate tremolo unit. Sounds beautiful. Out of the tremolo into the Camouflage, then into the Deep Ogden. The Deep Ogden, I run stereo, and it's not a true stereo chorus in that it's really just got a wet and dry outs. That's all it's got, just wet and dry outs. So there I go into the Volante, stereo out of the Volante into my gig rig AV Baby, which is essentially a humdinger, but it's like an AVY box. So yeah. out two is isolated and is phase reversible. So I needed to be able to have that function post Volante, like on the big board. It couldn't be pre. It kills the delay. So, so one out goes straight to, there are my stereo outs. There are my two outputs. One out for the Volante goes right to out one, right here. The other one goes to the AV Baby, one side, because I only need one side, the isolated, and it goes to out two. So anytime I'm playing a gig where I can run in stereo, I just have to activate the B side. That turns the second channel on. And there you go. And that's that board. I mean, this board is a simple board, and it's perfect for flighting.
That's awesome. Charlie S asks, what version OCD pedal is that?
Oh, this is the OCD GE. This is the latest one he came out with. It's got the germanium diodes.
Yeah, I have one of those as well.
Yeah. And
it's amazing that it's one of the best sounding overdrives around.
Yeah. So quick story, Charlie. I had one of the first OCD, first version of OCD back in 2004, 2005, whenever they first came out. And I couldn't get with it. No matter where I set it, I was too loud. And I have a,
you're a loud guitar player. Don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah,
you are.
I'm a loud guitar player. But I was playing a gig with a good buddy of mine on bass, and he was yelling at me, "Dennis, you're so loud, you're so loud." And I was like, "Dude, it's this. I can't control this pedal." And he's like, "What is that? OCD? Only can hear Dennis?" True. True. So this is great. He solved all the problems in later iterations of the OCD. So this is a totally usable pedal, in my opinion. It cleans up beautifully when you turn your volume down, and it's got it's a little bit chewier than a normal OCD, and they sound normal. Regular OCDs, white ones, sound great.
Nice.
And that's it.
So those are the pedal boards. Real quick, show us your favorite guitar that you play all the time. Actually, show us the newest guitar you have, the Johnny Marr.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do that, and then we'll shut the hell out of here.
There you go.
Let's get you back over here.
This is my Johnny Marr. I purchased this at best a month ago. Johnny Marr Jaguar, brand new, and you can see I've been playing it so much. I've already dunked up the finish over here on the, and I don't have particularly acidic sweat. I was never interested in Jaguars. I always brushed them off as being, offset like Jazzmasters. They got the weird bridge. The string break angle is a little bit, I don't know. I always heard
too shallow.
Too shallow. They could pop strings out of the blah, blah, blah. Johnny Marr solved all the problems with Jaguars. He put Mustang saddles. This guitar is made to his spec. It's also not custom shop. It's Fender USA. The guitar, brand new, is $1,800. It is, the fit and finish is killer.
Mm-hmm.
7 1/4 radius, vintage frets. The pickups are bare knuckles. They're wound by bare knuckles to his specs. You cannot get these pickups anywhere else but on this guitar. So the Mustang saddles on the bridge. He also did something with the bridge that prevented it from, apparently something else that would happen with a lot of playing is Jazzmaster and Jaguar bridges would sink from vibration. He put something in there, some kind of a nylon insert that prevents that from happening. Put the nylon insert in the trem arm, which you can now push down and get it to just sit in place, which is quite handy. Got rid of the 3-way switches. Put a 4-way switch over here, so you got bridge, both pickups in parallel, like a normal in-between sound. Neck pickup in position 3. Position 4 is both pickups in series, like a big humbucker. Cool sound. So it's going to get a bit louder. Cool. He moved the strangle switch, which was down here, that bass cut, to this position up here. All right. This is like a secondary filter that only works when you're in both pickups in series mode. So you can cut low end twice, essentially, with both pickups in series. It's a cool sound. I put flat wounds on this. I'm a recent, relatively recent fan of flat wound strings, and I've got them on several of my guitars.
And what gauge do you use?
On this guitar, 11 to 50. It's like 11, 15, 20 plain, 30, 40, 50.
What gauge do you normally use on guitars?
12. Usually it's like 12, 16, 20. It's a weird hybrid. I tried to do a balanced tension thing. Fellas, those men and women who are out there listening, whoever it is, you have a lot of free time on your hands. You sit around, you start looking at string gauge tension. and like, that's what I did. I was able to create a balanced tension set. I'm a GHS endorsee, uh, and I was able to find a balanced tension set of 12. So it's like 12, 16, 20. I think it's like a 28. It's like high, like a large core 28, maybe a small core 38, I think, something like that, and then a 54. So that's the standard set of strings I use. And for my main guitars that I do most gigs with, like my two PRSs and my Telly, like that's the string gauge I use. And I just like the sound of heavier gauge strings. It's not a, it's certainly not a macho thing. It's just, I like the sound. So I deal with it. Like
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Sounds good. All right, Dennis. Well, thanks a lot for this this little gem of a show. I mean, I've always wanted to have a little highlight of your boards, and I've recently become a fan of that Johnny Marr Jaguar as well. And I also never was a fan of Jaguars and Jazzmasters, but now recently I've wanted to get a Jazzmaster.
Yeah.
I think you're also in the you're looking to get one too. Is that correct?
I'm eyeballing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eyeball one or two. Yeah.
I know how it is. It just tastes have changed, and it's all about getting something for that you need in the toolbox. You can't get Jazzmaster or Jaguar pickups in any other guitars but that, and if you need that for a session or whatever, you have to have one of those.
Yeah, I think I lean towards a Jag because of the two, because of the shorter scale. It's a 24-inch scale. It was quirkier sounding to me than the Jazzmaster, which is this 25 and a half.
Yeah, and what else do you do? I mean, when you have a bunch of everyday guitars already, you buy stuff that are quirky that you need just in case you need that particular sound. Yeah, I get it. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. Stick around for a couple seconds after I say goodnight to everyone. Thanks, everyone. I don't normally do a Saturday night show, but thank you very much for joining, and maybe I'll do one of these every once in a while. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. This is all the way live.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys and girls,
thank you, Dave.
Have a great Saturday night, and I will see you on Thursday. We have Dave Freeman from Freeman Amplification, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Check it out.